in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Alrighty. Well, at this point, what I'd like to do, partly for the benefit of the television audience, is to identify those people who are with us here this evening. I am the Township Supervisor, Lee Tracy, and to my left is our clerk, Penny Tracy, and Walt Donnet, the trustees, and we have a citizen at this point, Tom Sharp, who on the agenda, we're hopeful we can appoint him to a vacant township trustee position. We have on my right here the Highway Commissioner, Chris Long, and seated next to him, our trustee, whatever his name is, John West. Thank you. And we also have with us our BATV camera person, Alex Turner, and seated behind him is his father. So let me just make a couple announcements here. This is a special Township Board meeting. The regular meeting of the Batavia Township Board on the second Tuesday of the month. We were unable to continue that meeting due to a lack of quorum on December 10th. I just want to mention that the agenda and minutes for all of the Township Board meetings are on the website at bataviatownship.com. Also, the BATV recordings of all the township meetings are on YouTube, so you can go and find most of our previous meetings as well. I want to mention that the tax levies for the township in the road and bridge have been filed with the county clerk, that we have been considering the administration design contact of the township website, and some of us met together on Friday, November 22nd to talk about this. We're waiting to hear from our contact who were thinking about changing how we administer the township website. I attended a Wright and Kane meeting on December 3rd. There are lots of concerns about Wright and Kane amongst the townships that participate, concerns about costs and performance, contracts with various providers. There's actually a special meeting called for January 14th to further discuss this. So anybody who has ideas about Wright and Kane, let me know. I also attended a Kane County Township Supervisors meeting on Wednesday this week. On the agenda for this evening, you'll find approval of an office cleaning contract, which I'm hopeful that the board will approve, so that we have a contract to clean the township offices once a week for $250 per month. This is the same service that cleans the office to our south. Also on the agenda this evening are some emergency assistance changes that I'd like to see effective January 1st. Those are on the agenda. Let me mention that I've had 2 Freedom of Information requests in the last couple weeks, and we do not technically have a Freedom of Information officer, since that was our previous supervisor, so that is also on the agenda. Also, coming up, the road commissioner and myself are working on budgets for the next fiscal year, and those will be presented at the next meeting in January to be passed in March after a budget hearing prior to that regular meeting. Let me also mention that we have an offer from Clark Mosquito Spraying to tour their facility in St. Charles, which I gather is interesting. So we're going to do that sometime after the first of the year. Our next meeting is January 14th. And I also want to mention that on January 23rd, the Batavia Chamber Inspire Banquet honoring the Citizen of the Year, Nan Phillips, will be on January 23rd. Anyone who wants to attend that from representing the township, let me know, and we can make reservations. So at this point, let me ask the clerk to call the roll.
Okay, Lee Tracy,
Here?
Walter Donick,
Here.
John West,
Here.
Joe Bartolomeo.
Yeah. Also on the agenda this evening is I received a resignation email from one of our trustees, Joe Bartolomeo, so we will need to accept that resignation this evening and then appoint someone to fill that position.
And he's absent.
And he's absent. At this point on the agenda, the trustees regularly, one of their important functions is to review the bills to be paid. So what we have are bills from November, which they will review and approve to be paid. Also, what we do is to review and reconcile the checking accounts to make sure that there's money in the bank to pay those bills, in essence. So that's what's going on now. I mention that there is a cover sheet as normal for the highway bills, and then I have added a similar one for the Township General Fund. So you can either approve each bill as normally, or you can just sign off on the cover sheet. Either one will be fine. They're there. They're there. Just for you. can. What's this? Oh, it goes.
Fill out a packet.
That goes with those. Thank you.
When are you putting out findings?
Yep.
Excellent. Township Road Farm.
$44.01. Check number 0000.
It's 6132.
I don't know whether that should be in numerical.
It's 000.
Whatever.
Around here it's 4401.
Check number 30.
Yes.
Okay, 4401. What is it? 61.
like
6132.
Okay, 6105, 265.97.
Yes.
6121, 4587.
Yes.
6123, 2084.98.
Yes.
6124, 254.60.
Yes.
6125, 4587.
Yes.
6126, 87.72. 6127, 133.52.
Yes.
6128, 161.86. 6129, 177.08. 6130, $39.81.
Yes.
6131, 159.92.
Yes.
6133, 248.15.
Yes.
6134, 113.30.
Okay.
6136, $180.
Yes.
6137, 275.26.
Yes.
6138, 248.15.
What was it?
6138, 248.15.
Yes.
6139, $41.
I don't know, is it just,
Yes.
6140, $360.
Yes.
it's,
Yeah, we have there. Right off.
You have 6127. Oh, there it is. It's right on the top.
I know.
Oh, checks.
Check
Keep
number.
looking for amounts, yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Okay. That's all I didn't do.
All right, ending balance, 556, 582.04.
Yes, sir. Today's 19th, isn't it?
Yes. Basement
Yeah, I know they are. You can change it. That's just, you can go, well, on the stamps. See the stamps, it says stamp, finish your first one.
Okay, I'm ready.
5035, $520.
Yes.
5037, $350.
Yes.
5038, $237.50.
Yes.
5039, $652.20.
Yes.
5040, $437.
Yes.
5041, $80.
Yes.
5042, $105.32.
Yes.
5043, $225.
Yes.
5044, $372.85.
Yes.
5045, 1899.10.
Yes.
5046, 7118.
Yes.
5048, $200.
Yep.
131.
Yes.
That's it. Ending balance, 855, 585, 32.
Yes. One more. Figure
What
it
they're
out.
doing, Tom, is they're reconciling with the bank, cleared as checks versus what we wrote as
What
checks.
the bills were?
Out of the computer.
Sure.
So,
Looks like there's only two.
and make sure. we're not
5075,
missing.
$500.
Yes.
5077, 446.
Wasn't approved
Okay.
Ending balance, 9901.
Do you guys get
38.
audits often?
every year.
Every
We
year?
have to have a certified audit.
Okay. That's all the double checking and all that stuff, so you have proof what went through and
Yeah.
you went
It's
through it.
it's not audited for tax purposes, but
Yeah.
for
The date it was
Bookkeeping in
bookkeeping
general.
purposes.
Right.
approved. So
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Put it up, Keith.
So next on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the November meeting. You have those minutes attached to the packet.
I move that we approve the minutes.
Okay, there's a motion to approve and a second to approve the minutes. Any additions, corrections, concerns? If not, let's have the clerk call the roll on the approval of the minutes.
Walt Donick,
Aye.
Chuck West,
John West?
John West,
Aye.
he's a new name, Lee Tracy.
Yes. All righty, so the
Very
next...
nicely done, by the way.
Well, thank you.
The next item on the agenda is the approval of the bills for the month of November to be
That we
paid
approve
in
the bills for
December.
the month of November to be paid in December.
Okay.
I
We have-
second.
And we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, let's have the clerk call the roll on the approval of the bills.
Walt Donick,
Aye.
John West,
Aye.
Lee Tracy.
Aye. Next item on the agenda is assessor's report, and our assessor is not with us this evening. And so we don't have an assessor's report, but we do have a road commissioner's report. We do have a road commissioner here.
Before we
Yeah.
move on to that, you said that you and the road commissioner were each going to be submitting your budgets in January. Is the assessor going to be submitting hers?
I do hers.
And hers?
Hers
Yeah.
is part of the
Hers is-
township.
Yeah, hers is part of the general fund.
All right. Moving on.
Okay?
Boy, as you can tell, there's not a whole lot to report. We did finish up leaf season and with good weather, and had 2 final weeks that were pretty decent. Weather held up. We probably could have kept the equipment out another week, but we usually hit that magic number of the first part of December, and we want to get that stuff put away. Takes a day, 2 guys a day to clean the leaf machine up before it gets put away. So, and they don't like doing it when it's 0 out. So it's tough. But everything's put away, the equipment's running pretty good, so
We're ready for snow.
I think we're ready to let it go. Doesn't look like it's gonna happen for a while, but it will happen. So, that's all I have.
Do you ever have any issue in regards to how close you budget for salt, for example, and running out towards the end of the year and still needing some or anything?
No, I haven't had, I have had 1 year where we almost ran out, but it was a year of late deliveries. We
Oh, you weren't getting the
had
supply?
plenty ordered, but we couldn't get it.
Okay.
And the city was the same way, and they came over and filled up one time to keep going. And that about cleared us out. We were down to, we were sweating it. So, since that point, I've never let that happen again. So we keep it pretty full. The goal is to try to get to the back of the shed once in a while to make sure that salt is usable, because it, you know, salt
Deteriorates
can
after a while.
clump and turn to rocks. We just decided today that yesterday we decided we weren't going to go and take half at a time, but after getting up on the pile this morning, we decided we would
You need to go through, it has a
take half
shelf
of it,
life.
take it all the way back, and then we'll fill up that half and take the other half down, so. It just makes it easier when it's good salt to spread.
Sure.
Clumps it. It's tough on our equipment. It's tough on keeping the salt to flow. The equipment doesn't care. It either tears it up or it stalls it.
Okay, anything else? I just did want to mention, I should have mentioned at the beginning that we're having this special meeting per the Township Code, and it was requested that I confirm that we were doing it, the procedure properly with Township officials of Illinois, and I did that. So I have an email from Brian Smith, the Executive Director of Township Officials of Illinois, which says very simply, yes, we're doing it properly. You can call a special meeting with 48 hours notice. The next item, we don't have any old business, I don't believe. Next item is the appointment of a trustee to fill a vacancy. Our previous supervisor, Jim Anderson, who then took a position as trustee, resigned due to the fact that he has moved out of Batavia Township to the homestead, which is in Geneva Township. So we need to appoint someone to fill that vacant position. And we have a person who is willing to do that, Tom Sharp. And there are really two requirements per the Township Code. One, a township trustee can be appointed, must live in the township. And secondly, the Township Code says that the person appointed to that position must be of the same political party as the person vacating the position. So I did certify with the township clerk, with the county clerk, that both Jim Anderson and Tom Sharp are registered as Republicans. So he qualifies. So what I'd like to do is to ask for a motion to appoint Thomas Sharp as a trustee in Batavia Township.
So moved.
We have a motion and a
Yes,
second.
motion, I'll second the motion.
Good. It's been moved and seconded. And why don't we have the clerk call the roll?
Paul Donner,
Aye.
John West,
Aye.
Lee Tracy.
Yes. So what I would like to do...
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'd like, one of the requirements is that we have to have the clerk administer the oath of office. So I would ask the township clerk to administer the oath.
All right, so should you come to the
Do I
front?
stand and
You
put my hand
stand.
over my heart?
Come to
or-
the front.
Yeah, that's right.
We don't,
You shall
all
stand.
right,
That's right. Now, why don't
Okay.
you come over this way?
all right.
Raise your hand and swear. Or affirm.
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 Solemnly.
All right, just official oath, repeat after me, please. I, Thomas R. Sharp,
I, Thomas R. Sharp,
having been appointed to the office,
having been appointed to the office
Batavia Township Trustee
of Batavia Township Trustee,
in the state of Illinois,
State of Illinois,
in the county of Kane,
in the County of Kane,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the state of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and I will faithfully discharge
and I will faithfully discharge
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
of Batavia Township Trustee
of Batavia Township Trustee
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my abilities.
All right, thank
Thank
you.
you.
I'll need your signature.
You're in.
And
You're official.
right there, top line. Okay, thank you.
And for the record, if it makes any difference, I'm Thomas R. Sharp II.
Oh, we should do that.
How do
If you need that
Legally.
suffix on the end.
Okay, is it like two numerals, Roman
Yes, Roman
numerals?
numeral 2.
Okay, got
Good.
it.
That's how
Okay.
you sign.
Yeah, thank you.
Welcome.
That's how you sign it, that's how.
Welcome.
Thanks.
Alrighty. Great. We now,
Yes.
we're now up to 3 trustees.
All right, feel better. We can function.
We can function. Next item on the agenda is I'd like to request a transfer in the general fund of $3,000 from miscellaneous to park mosquito. You'll notice that actually in the budget, it's as a negative balance. They did one extra spraying toward the end of the summer. And so we need to make sure that we have transferred monies into that so that there's a positive balance in that fund. So do I have a motion?
How many springs do they ordinarily do?
We budget a number of them, and based on what they think is going to take place, that's a good question. I'm not sure exactly.
$3,000 one spring?
Yeah,
It was, yes.
so they do about 10. I
That'll
think.
give you about 10.
We follow with the city because a lot of our townships intersperse with the city, so we go with the contract with the city, so they spray ours whenever they spray the city. So if they determine that there's a high number of mosquitoes they feel is coming in, they might do an extra spray based on the weather.
I think there was actually an increase in the count, and there was also a West Nile incident in the county, not in our township, but
So they don't spray in the city limits on our contract?
No.
They spray outside the city limits?
Yeah, but they figured up the mileage of our roads, so when they're going down, let's take McKinley, they go down Walnut to turn on McKinley. McKinley's our street. They spray down McKinley, and they turn on Morton and spray the rest of the city street. So that section of McKinley, we're paying,
we're paying for that.
even though it's being sprayed at the same time the city is being sprayed.
I guess my point was that Morton and Walnut are also in the township. Even though they are in the city, we don't have to pay for
Very,
that.
very small parts of it, 400 feet or more. But we've laid that all out with we've given them a map of all our streets. They came up with this price. But the price would be a lot higher if we went on a separate contract and had to spray our own, because they would spray here, spray there, spray here. It would take them a lot longer, so the cost would be high. Jim and I worked on that a long time ago, that this was going to be a good thing to do it together. But we really don't have a say in that extra spraying so much because the city pretty much makes that choice.
And we can't say no to our share.
Well, we
Well,
could,
we
I
but if there's
suppose.
a lot of mosquitoes, there's a lot of mosquitoes, you know. You get out on Nelson Lake Road, you'd want it sprayed every day.
Anything further?
No, takes care of
We
it.
can revisit that at the time of the budget if you
We can
want to.
revisit that one, yeah, but we gotta pay it now.
That's right.
So I'll make the motion.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to transfer $3,000 from miscellaneous in the general fund to park mosquito. Clerk will call the roll.
Okay, West,
Yes.
Donnet,
Aye.
Sharp,
Aye.
Very good.
Tracy.
Yes, thank you. The next item on the agenda is a transfer in the road fund. So I'll let Chris tell you.
All right, I'm still looking at transferring another $5,000 out of road maintenance and putting it into vehicle maintenance. We had a lot of truck engine problems this year, and pretty much replaced 2 engines. When I saw this was happening, I pulled back some road maintenance project we were going to do to allocate that money to the truck repair. So we're still seeing some bills dribbling in.
So how much are you transferring?
5,000.
5,000.
That's the maximum you can do at a certain...
No.
No?
Uh,
Oh.
Just trying to stay within reason.
How many trucks do you have?
We have 4.
How old are they?
The oldest is a 2000. We got it in 2003.
So
And that one didn't need any repairs.
It's the newer one, huh?
It's all because of the EPA exhaust emissions stuff. We don't. The engines are built to get on the road and drive 200 miles a day at full RPM, at high RPMs, go home and park them. And we very seldom get them up to that kind of speed. Snow plowing is at 20 miles an hour.
Those aren't Navistar vehicles, are they?
Yeah, they are.
How old is your newest truck?
It's a 2003, but that has a Cummins engine in it, so that's a little different than the international engine.
Your oldest and your newest are the same age?
No, 2000 and it's 3 years. We've had it. This is the third year, so it's actually 2018. So it's 2 years old. We've had it for parts of 3 seasons.
So do you budget for a replacement truck periodically?
Well, when I took over, the general rule of thumb was you keep a truck 10 years. By then it was junk. I wanted to try something a little different, so we spent a lot more time on washing and maintaining. And so far, that truck that's a 2003, I drove it for 16 years. It's still doing pretty good, so I think it might go on beyond 20 years. So that's my goal. So I don't have a new truck in the budget for a while yet.
So what would a truck cost?
Yeah, nowadays about $160,000.
Budget that all at once, or would that be over a couple of years?
Initially, it depends. Initially, I was able to bank money to save up for the truck. So it's kind of let's see how much road work we have to repair and replace versus how much equipment we can spend. So in any case, we put a good chunk down. We have a trade-in and put a good chunk down, and might have to finance it for 2 years. So with the interest that it is, it's not a horrible deal. But yeah, you always like to think of new equipment and wonder what's on the horizon. The city bought 2 new trucks this year, and they jumped out of the international line and went to a different truck company, a different manufacturer. But it's hard to get off the state bid. You save about 20 grand.
The city's off the state bid?
I don't know how they got theirs. They probably had to compete pretty hard to whoever truck company it was. I can't remember what they went with.
So if you go with a state bid, do you have control over what kind of truck and what kind of amenities it has and stuff like that? Or does the state control that?
The state controls the truck. So in other words, this last year and a half ago when I bought the last truck, state bid was for international, either choice of international engine or Cummins,
or something.
and it was the same price. And then you had maybe 5 or 6 line items you could improve, air passenger seat, small stuff.
So you had options you could pull with
A few
that
options you could pull
purchase.
on it. The easy thing, and why a lot of people do this, is because then you don't have to put it out for bids.
Yeah.
Because it already passed through the bid
So everybody
process.
buys, the state thing under the same bid.
It's considerable savings.
Yeah.
If that's
Well, I
what
would
you want.
think, yeah.
I mean,
So and part of it is you got to look at your fleet. Are you going to start transitioning away? We really haven't seen anything wrong with the international trucks per se, but the Navistar engines have had a big flaw.
Yeah. My son used to work for Navistar and told me about the dilemma with the EPA and all that kind of stuff. It was an interesting story.
Yeah.
maybe that's why you used to work for them.
It is. It's exactly. Navistar said, we're trying to get rid of people. If you leave, we'll give you a package, according to how long you've been here already. So I told, should I go into this? I don't know if it is. Maybe not.
We have
I'll get this later.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we have a motion to transfer
$5,000.
$5,000.
Road maintenance to vehicle maintenance.
So moved.
Okay, second?
Sure. Second, I'll do it.
Okay, we have motion in the second. Then the clerk will call the roll.
Paul Donnet,
Aye.
John West,
Aye.
Tom Sharp,
Yes.
Lee Tracy.
Yes. Next item on the agenda is, I'd like you to approve a contract with Image One, which is the organization or office cleaning organization that we have negotiated a contract to clean the township offices once a week for $250 per month. They've done this twice already as a kind of a test and to make sure that we're happy. Everybody seems to be happy so far, the employees. And it will be done as a deduction directly from the Township General Fund checking account.
Who used to clean it?
Nobody. Well, there a number of things have been done in the past, but there has been no cleaning contract for probably a couple years. So what has happened is that between the supervisor and the assessor people, we've done it ourselves.
We used to have somebody come in once in a while,
Yeah.
different people.
Yeah, this is actually cheaper than what they were charging.
Yes, it is.
So I moved to accept it. Image One is the cleaning company. Take care of everything.
Good. Is there a second? Moved and seconded. Any other discussion? And let's have the clerk call the roll there.
John West. Bob Donnet. Tom Sharp.
Yes.
Lee Tracy.
Yes. The other thing I'd like to do, and it's in her package of material, is to change the emergency assistance guidelines. Might just mention that technically, the supervisor can do this without the approval of the township board. However, I'd like you to do that anyway, just for transparency and general support. Currently, in emergency assistance, we can make a one-time annual payment of $500. And generally this is done when there's two things. Either when they have a utility shut-off or they have an eviction notice. I'd like to increase that payment from $500 to $750. The issue is here that we're fine with utility shutoffs normally, but if we have an eviction notice, people's monthly rentals generally are far above $500, even at the Batavia apartments with subsidized rents. So typically what happens is that we have to go to some other source, some other agency who will help out if we have a utility shutoff to or an eviction notice is to match it, to meet their whatever monthly rental they're having to pay. The other thing I'd like to increase is that we have a rule for income, so that currently, if we have a family of one, for example, on this chart, they cannot be above $867 monthly income. What I'd like to do is to increase these to the amounts that are given. Those amounts are actually the federal 100% of the federal poverty level.
What is it?
Well, it's so that on the chart, 100% of the federal poverty level of a family of one is 1,040. Of a family of two is 1,410, and on those figures are the 100% of the federal poverty level for that size of a family unit.
For one person, for 1,040, that's not even, that's about $7.50 an hour.
Yeah, it's not much. Generally speaking, the majority of people who come in and want assistance don't qualify because their income is too high.
I see in the write-up here that for rental payment assistance, the applicant must have a current 10-day eviction notice
Yes.
from the property owner. 10-day notice is for violation of a lease. A 5-day notice would be for non-payment of rent. Did that mean to say 5-day?
Yeah, so it's a 5-day really. I'll change it.
Now we gonna move on both of them or at once or each one?
Why don't we do the whole package?
Why don't we do the whole package? I'll move that we accept this.
Okay, so we have a motion to accept changes in the emergency assistance guidelines with regard to payment level and income level, depending on the size of the family.
I'll second it.
But any other discussion? So let's have the clerk call the roll on this issue.
John West,
Aye.
Paul Donnet,
All right.
Tom Sharp,
Yes.
Lee Tracy.
Yes. So the next item on our agenda is actually the appointment of a Freedom of Information Officer. Currently, we don't have one. Jim Anderson, the Township Supervisor, was the Freedom of Information Officer. We have to have one.
Plainly, he wants it.
I think so, yeah. It's gotta be
And
someone that's here that's full-time.
so if any one of the trustees would like to do that, that'd be fine.
Well, why don't you describe it?
What is involved is answering the Freedom of Information requests. And in order to do that, that person has to do the training, online training with the State Attorney General's office. So we don't really have anybody who's done that currently anymore.
Well, I'll move to appoint Lee Tracy as FOIA officer.
I second.
All right.
Looking for someone else.
I would love to have someone else.
I'll jump in here. Typically, they're asking for a copy of all the bills for the last 3 years.
Well, not typically, but
Yeah,
an
that's-
example.
That's pretty typical.
I'll tell you, actually, in your packet, I had one request. Then this same guy has come back with multiple requests. He wanted an organizational chart of the township. Well, that's easy, so I created one and sent him, which technically should be on the website, and I will put it on the website. He wanted all the salaries of elected officials. Well, that's actually in the minutes of the meeting of whenever it was, I think it was November of 2016.
When it's a public record, do you have to go through and point it out to him, or can you just say it's in the minutes?
Well, yeah, you can. But I decided, okay, I'll put it down for you. So I did. Then I sent him this. Then he wanted to pay for all the township employees. And so that's on this sheet. He wanted a whole lot of other information, which, he wanted all the bills approved each month for 3 years. And I said that would be multiple pieces of paper, and if he really wanted them, I would be happy to invoice him for those.
Does he have the option to come here and see them out of
But
the...
I gave him that option. I said, you're certainly welcome to come and make an appointment, and I'll have them all available for you, and you can review.
Do you hear anything from him?
He didn't balk at that one. I actually sent him a packet of stuff 2 separate times in certified mail of stuff that he requested. He requested also, this guy is clearly one of these persons. A lot of these ones are people who are notorious for making requests. But at any rate. Okay, so we have a
don't
motion.
the request, we have the answer to the request.
That's part of the answer, yeah. But I thought this was interesting information anyway, which you might like to have.
I agree. Yeah, I think it's great. On one sheet, everything's there. Perfect.
So we have a motion to appoint the supervisor, me, as the Freedom of Information Officer, and I will, if passed, I will do the Attorney General's training. So let's have the clerk call it. Oh, do we have a second?
Yeah, I second the motion.
Paul Donnet,
Aye.
John West,
Aye.
Tom Sharp,
Yes.
Lee Tracy.
Yes. One remaining item on the agenda. We have a resignation of Joe Bartolomeo as a trustee. I have an email, this is in the form of an email dated December 15th, in which he says, I hereby submit my resignation from the Batavia Township Board of Trustees effective immediately. So, I'd like to have the board
Let's get it
accept.
going. I make a motion to accept it, the resignation.
Okay,
Second.
moved and seconded.
At least this time we got a actual professional letter of resignation.
We do,
Didn't we from Jim Anderson?
yes.
Oh, from Jim as well.
Yes. And I'll just comment that this is effective if passed on this date. So, no, never mind.
Okay,
That's the motion.
all right.
To accept his resignation effective December 19th. And let's have the clerk call the roll.
John West,
Yes.
Walt Donnet,
Aye.
Tom Sharp,
Aye.
Lee Tracy.
Yes. So,
Excuse me.
we need to identify, and I'd like to do this at the next township board meeting, if possible, in January, to appoint someone as a trustee. Person has to be a Batavia Township resident, and it happens that Joe Bartolomeo last voted as a Democrat, so we need to find a registered Democrat.
And when you say a township citizen, that is of the entire township,
Right.
including the city.
Yes.
Yes,
Township is a physical boundary.
right.
Do you have somebody in mind at all
I don't.
for that position?
I don't.
And it's just happened pretty quick. I didn't know if you had somebody in the wings or something like that.
What I will do is to reach out to those, well, we'll make a public announcement, plus, I will reach out to those people who I know. In fact, we might actually contact all of the Democratic Precinct Committeemen.
Well, if you know of somebody.
If you know of
that might be
somebody.
interested.
Okay.
You publish anything in the newspaper?
I was talking to somebody about taking this position, and they were, that'd be interesting. That would be, a learning experience, blah, blah, blah. And they live in the township. And I said, well, if you're interested, let me know.
Yeah,
And they said they would talk to their husband. So
Good. good.
I'm the Democrat.
I'll bet my socks they are. Yeah.
What I will need to
Because I
do.
might know somebody that's interested as well.
Good. Let me know. What I will do is if we identify someone, those people who are interested, I will go to the county clerk and we'll get their voter certification to show in what primary they voted the last time. That's the test.
Does it have to be the last election or just the last time they voted?
The last
Well,
primary.
Oh, the last primary, yeah.
That's the only way you know what party
So
affiliation
if
they
they
have.
didn't vote in the last primary, but they voted Democratic the primary before that.
That would be
they're not
okay.
eligible.
Yeah, they would be.
That would be okay.
Mhm.
The last primary they voted.
The last primary they voted. Mhm.
And it's wild, because this is the only second meeting I've been involved with where we've ever even said the word Republican or Democrat. It's never been,
Yeah, we
It's
just,
Not an
not,
issue.
it's not part of the conversation.
no,
Yeah.
this is a nonpartisan.
It's
we ran as independents.
it's a rather odd rule in the township code. Okay. So, did we vote? Did we vote?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, we voted.
Yes.
Great. Thank you. Do we have any public participation? We're bound, we are legally bound to have that in the agenda. And we invite public participation. Any reports from any of the trustees?
I would just like to wish everybody out there in the township happy holidays and,
Right.
and be safe. I don't business issues. We've taken
We've taken it.
we've done quite a bit in the last couple months with all the new stuff that's going on.
We have. All right. Our next Batavia Township board meeting will be on January the 14th at 7 o'clock in this place. So, let's have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Seconded.
Good.
go.
My
Any
first
other
one.
discussion?
There you go. No.
Having no objection, I don't believe, I will declare that the meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, BATV.
And what time is it?